big content. Make sure if you love this episode, you share it with your closest family members, friends, wives, girlfriends on the side, all the good stuff. We're back to our baseline of 300 views again.
Yeah,
I don't
what
know.
happened?
I'm not sure. There must have been something that have happened in the big episode.
I think we shared on Twitter and it got going in the algo a little. But yeah,
you think we got put in the YouTube algo?
Yeah, it tells you.
Really?
Yeah. Well, it tells you if you're in suggested videos.
Oh, yeah. But I think like a lot of that time,
quite literally the algorithm.
Yeah, but a lot of times suggested videos will go to subscribers. Like a lot of your subscribers watch your videos not from your subscriptions feed. They watch it like through browse videos.
No, I think new people.
Maybe you could see that in the analytics as well. Yeah. Maybe we got pushed into the algo a little bit, into the rat race.
Yeah. Now we're back.
Now I got a hit of it. Now I want back in.
I think this is going to be a good episode. At least, what I presented. So.
We'll question that you took from Discord.
No, I thought it could be the basis of the episode. Like, there's a lot to talk about on that category.
Yeah, I actually think this whole episode should just be a Q&A. Because I think we had like
I think that this question's going to be like a half-hour discussion.
Okay. I don't, because I'm not fucking scared of many things.
Fair enough. So I'll just talk about my fears.
All right. Christian asks, if you guys want to ask us questions for next episode, hop in the Discord, link below. What is y'all greatest fear when it comes to owning your business? You knew where this was going.
Yeah.
Yours.
Well, the funniest thing is I don't know the answer to my biggest fear, so I was hoping you would have some fears.
Okay.
And we would riff off that.
So my biggest fear is not living up to, I think, the potential that I feel like I have. And it's kind of intertwining between like personal and business, because as I've said before, like my business, I feel like is just an expression of me kind of extended into business. And I've always felt this way. I've always I think this is a lot of the reason why I'm scared. I'm not scared of like getting older necessarily or like moving outside of my youth. The only reason I get a little bit nervous about thinking about it is like, at what point do I hit the age where I'm over maybe that like energetic hump of like, man, I really want to chase after and keep getting after and keep going after my goals and things like that. And that's what makes me a little bit nervous. Like, I think and it's weird because you kind of have a battle of like, we set these goals and we want to accomplish them, but like you also can't do this job if you just don't love the process. And I do. This is the reason I was in here last Thursday night, Friday night for the draft, today filming all day and stuff. Tomorrow I'm sure I'll be back in here. Like, I love doing this. I love doing this all day, every day. But there are so many things I want to still accomplish. And I do get nervous that I'm not like moving fast enough, especially in like a social world where you see so many things being accomplished and you see people doing better than you, whether it's financially or whatever numbers are being. That's a little bit of a fear of mine. But I find myself like, if I could shut that out, like the less I look at the outside world, the better I feel about what I'm doing, because I could find inspiration from things that are not being done before, I guess.
What makes you think you might lose that energy?
Literally just like age. Like I actually like not necessarily like my physical age. I don't know. I guess like,
because like I watch Michael Rubin, talk about how he has not lost his fire. You see coaches, Belichick, some of the greatest coaches. They're Nick Saban, right? He's flying all across the country recruiting. He's clearly not lost that fire. There's no doubt that he probably can't stay up till 3 a.m. anymore at the bars.
Well,
but,
I guess when you're our age,
drive,
though, when you're our age, looking at that doesn't like. I'm sure I'll still be doing it, but it doesn't. That doesn't feel like appealing to me. I like.
All right, so I would say off that, my biggest fear, not biggest, we'll talk a bunch of different fears, is probably priorities shifting. So right now, the only thing I care about is pretty much like my business, my family and friends, and the Knicks winning tomorrow. But that has shifted from, 5 years ago, and I anticipate like once I have a kid, like that will become significantly more interesting to me than probably my business or probably some of my friends, So I think priorities shifting are, it's fearful, especially as a business owner, because I know that I won't be focused on the business 100% of the time going forward, but I'll still have that passion and that fire. But maybe I won't. I've become a less competitive person over the years. We've talked about that.
That scares me a little bit too. I guess I've thought about it in the sense of like
losing that edge.
It's not even, I don't care if I lose the edge if I actually put it elsewhere, but I don't want to and I love doing what I'm doing, but if I invest everything into it now, am I sacrificing things that might bring me more joy long term? You know, like you're like, oh, if I have a kid in like 3 to 5 years, like that's not even close to on my mind.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I wouldn't even be, I'd be okay if it happened, you know, if it happened naturally, like, and I don't mean like a one night stand, like I just had a kid. I meant like if I actually fell in love and my mindset shift to where like, oh, I want to have a kid now.
Yeah.
But I wonder if like I have closed my mind off so much to those types of paths in life, because a lot of people take those paths, that I am foregoing, you know, something that might be a more enjoyable path in the future, I guess. I don't know. I guess a lot of things
I think that's a real fear.
Yeah.
Is, you know, we put so much time and energy. You know, I'm traveling all across the country last week. I'm missing opportunities to be with my friends. I'm missing weddings and, you know, stuff like that. For me, that's the stuff I enjoy. But I'm sure, you know, when you say no regrets, I'm sure people do have regrets.
How old are you? You 26?
26.
Yeah, you're 26. Like, I'm 30, so I'm not that much older than you, but there's going to be a day when I wake up when I'm, you know, 35, 36, 37, and I'm like, I'm not that young anyway. I don't know where I'll be at in that point.
No,
you know?
I fear growing up. Like, I thought once I crossed, 26 was actually, it wasn't like I sat down and needed to go to therapy and talk through it, but I was like, once I crossed 25, I was like, all right, now I'm older. Like, for whatever reason, that was my mental blockade. But I know that people said, you know, I'm sure 30 for you and then going to 31. Like, we just grow older. So even if it's irrational, even if it's like, you know, we're still fine, I think to just say it is a fear growing older, I think that's common.
Yes. The counter I would have to that is anytime you felt old, and then you fast forwarded 3 years, you would look back at yourself and be like if you looked at like 23-year-old Jack, you'd be like, you're so like disgustingly young, you know? So the way you feel about yourself now, when you're 29, you're going to be like, oh my God, 26-year-old Jack was so young.
Agreed.
So if you can like keep that energy and understand, like even me right now, 30-year-old Nick feels fucking old because I'm 30. But when I'm 33, I'm going to be like, man, I'd kill to be 30 again. Like 30 was young, 30 was energetic, 30 was like the good time, you know, like good years, whatever it was. So it's like, I try to keep that mindset as well. And I think that's important to try to give yourself perspective on that.
On priority shifting, one of my biggest fears that also, I think a fear doesn't necessarily mean it consumes you 100% of the time. Like, I don't really think about this stuff, you know, all the time. But like a fear would be company not going well and having to let everyone go. You know, that I've said has been a priority change for me, is like how I look at the business. Now I'm supplying other people's lives and families. So I take on responsibility to, you know, continue moving the business forward or sustaining what we're doing so that those people can get a biweekly paycheck and then they can pay their rent, they can take care of their family and hang out with their friends and do whatever they may want to do. So I would say the fear is like, I don't know, Snap goes down or YouTube goes down or we don't re-sign a partner and we got to let someone go.
Yeah, I think ironically, even though I've done those things, it didn't necessarily scare me, and I'm not scared of that. I think just operating from good intent for me has always kind of like combated that. You know, I feel like if I did something that was like super detrimental to the company, and then I had to let go of people who were depending on me, then I would be like, I know I'm fearful of this. Like I did something really stupid, right. But I also feel like I've, you know, obviously been the reason why we've built this up, and I don't think I operate out of like a bad place ever to the point where I'm like, oh man, like it's my fault that this is happening, or we have to.
But sometimes it's not anyone's fault. It just kind of right, like the market, you know, is what it is, and those things happen.
Right. So if it's not anyone's fault, I mean, like, what's the point of being fearful of it?
No, that's what I'm saying. It doesn't really consume me, but it is just a fear of it's. I guess the fear might be like it's out of your control, and like sometimes it's out of your control. You act in good graces. Maybe you made the right moves, but it just kind of is what it is. So,
yeah, knowing is tough. I think going back to the first thing I said with not hitting my potential, it's almost like you ever
yeah. I've gotten more complacent over the years. Like I said, I used to be hyper competitive, and I've toned it down because I don't know if it brought out like the worst in me, but it just was silly. Like I would go to a pickup basketball game, and the reason my priorities have shifted is like I would have done anything to win that game. Like literally anything, right? That was just who I was. Now, the way
I would have wanted to fight you when you were younger.
Oh, you don't even know. The way I've shifted is like I genuinely like I still want to win. Obviously still want to win, but priority one is like don't get hurt, cuz that will just like losing that pickup game on a Saturday versus, you know, rupturing my Achilles, being on crutches for weeks, like my mental health, my physical health, like that's just, but in the past, genuinely, I wouldn't have cared. Like I wouldn't have cared about that, and I just wanted to win. So I don't know if it's complacency as much as it is just a shifting of priorities, but yeah, like the last couple of years, the business has done incredibly well. Still driving, but
you ever think like, you ever have something kind of off, like you have an internal feeling like I feel like this is not right for us, or this is not good. It's like rather than making the change, that complacency and being like, man, we did great these last 2 years, but I feel like if I did this, we could have been like great. You know what I mean? It's almost like complacency for the lack of like greatness.
Yeah,
that might not be there.
No, I think, you know, looking back over the last couple of years, I wish I had gotten to this place on like YouTube or some of this other stuff. But I don't think it was from complacency. I think at the end of the day, like there are only so many hours in the day. You only have so many resources. And would I have loved to have staffed an entire team so we could attack YouTube 2-3 years ago? Absolutely. But I also have to understand it wasn't realistic. Like we have grown, things have changed. We've made more money so that we can afford employees now and resources. So I don't know. What about you?
Yeah, no, I feel like I'm off my rocker with that shit. I feel like the biggest, I don't even know if it's a fear, but a problem is that I always feel like we can be doing more. And you could tell me like we're doing the best we can and we're doing as much as we can. Yeah. But I like, and it's not even me being, I don't think I'm being psychotic. I genuinely am like, no, we could be doing more. Yeah. Like I know we can be doing more because I pushed myself to these limits in prior years or situations or whatever. And I've been around people who want to push themselves to, you know, be great as well. And I find myself like, I don't know if underperforming is the right word, but I've been find myself wondering if there was more to be done. And the tough part about it, I think we as humans feel like the most down or the most like confused when we feel like we're not in control of things, right? When you don't have control of something, even if it's not that big of a deal, like you don't have control, your brain starts going in weird places. So I feel when those situations happen, even if you did your best, if you're thinking like, oh man, I could have done better, that is a form of lacking control because you don't know. You know, it's a form of confusion a little bit. So I start to ask myself like, man, was this right? Was this right? And it's like it's there's so many variables to it. It's like, is it the people? Is it this thing? Should I have been waking up earlier? Should I have been doing this instead of this? How do I work smarter or some shit like that? You know, so it's like it's all these whirling questions that I feel like I deal with consistently. And then it's a balance of also not trying to be so hard on yourself and realize that we're just like, I don't know, we're just like here, you know, it is what it is.
Don't make me get ChatGPT out to ask the meaning of life.
We don't need that. Dude, I don't know if you saw the tool that I sent you.
The video editing.
It's incredible.
I actually saw a TikTok of it. I didn't read your text. I don't read text until I'm ready to respond. And then you sent another text, so I got to go back and look at it. But I saw.
It's super good.
It's GG's.
It's like, honestly, I'm like thinking about firing sexy. You literally put a YouTube link into it and it spits out 10 vertical clips with like closed captions. It'll like.
Oh, I didn't see that. I saw one that was like the multicam.
Yeah, like that's not what I sent you something else. It's
you got shorts.
Oh yeah. It won't work for, it's perfect for my videos where it's like the camera's kind of like still and it's one-on-one and it'll work for this as well, which is really, really cool. It won't work for like vlogs and stuff if the camera's too hectic and shit, but it's no 100%.
Give it a week.
It's called Opus dot.
This is probably the most value we will ever deliver to
I've sent this to like 8 of my friends like immediately. I was like, bro, you have.
Is it free?
Yes, completely free. It's you put it in and like 10 minutes later spits out 10 to 15 short clips. Not all of them are perfect. Sometimes it duplicates them, but you'll get like 3 to 4 clips that are usable absolutely like right off the rip. And it's the first tool I've came across that really did it well, which tells me in 6 months time this problem will be solved like that. Yeah. Like you really won't like these clip agencies and shit.
You got to be hype if you're out there listening to that.
Dude, it got me so fired up when I saw it because I was like on a realistic note, you know, I say like I'm going to fire sexy, but like what gets me excited is okay, rather than him having to sit there for 3 hours and come up with
he can edit the edit,
clips,
right?
He can edit the edit, sure. But if they do the edits well, now he can shoot out 6 clips a day instead of 3. Or those fantasy clips, he could shoot out 6, and then we could spend, an extra 3 hours doing like XYZ projects. You know what I mean? It literally all AI is going to do is wipe out the boring parts of work.
It's efficient.
Yeah. It's going to be fucking cool as hell.
And
the most creative people are going to win.
What I was thinking about with AI yesterday was taxes. What do I need an accountant for?
You won't. Yeah.
That's not true. The smart accountants are going to let AI do all the math, pull everything, and then they're going to sort through it. I don't need to take a picture of my W-2, put it in a Google Drive folder, send it to my guy now. He goes and they're going to read all the tax law. They're going to spit out this shit. Now, you'll use whatever TurboTax for $50. It'll just be all AI, which is that. But
it is like we've been using AI, I feel like, for quite a while. But for some reason, as soon as ChatGPT hit, it's like all these companies came out of the woodwork like, yeah, we already had all these fucking fire tools. Let's just let them rip.
Isn't like an algorithm artificial intelligence?
Yeah, 100%.
So
we've definitely used a form of it, but now it's like a useful form of it.
It's great.
Yeah, it came out. Yeah, dude, I'm telling. Like the next year is going to be nuts for this.
Well, what I'm thinking is, are we going to be hit with content overload? Right? If you can now get 12 clips out of
day, probably. Yeah. Which is why I think the most creative people are going to win.
But what I've been thinking about, this is a lie. I haven't been thinking about it a lot. But
what I just thought of for the first time right now.
What I say right now. But if I say I've been thinking about it a lot, I feel like it's more meaningful. But I've been less worried about view count on short form stuff, and the thought process being I'd rather just do 12 clips and whoever sees it. I think I did say this actually about how if we post something that helps one person, or if we can now post 15 clips from this, if one of them goes viral, that's way more valuable than curating the top 3 and keeping our like floor view count up on a short or on a TikTok. So
because the power of seeing someone, like if you see one creator like 5 times over a week span, it's like almost like you'll never forget that.
Exactly.
You're like, oh, that guy's all over TikTok. It's like, not really, but like
I would almost, it's so tough. In short form, I would almost argue like quantity over quality at this point. I don't know though. It's tough to say. I guess on YouTube Shorts, I feel that way because it just gets thrown into this mixer. So it doesn't really matter. You know?
Yeah, I think I would.
Long form, obviously, quality is going to win, but short form,
I think it's the same. I think it's the same formula. And I've always thought this way. It's always quantity over quality, but there has to be a baseline of quality. Right. Can't be just 10 quantity, but I guess 0 quality. All
right. I guess how I'm thinking about it is on these platforms that are now so short form centric, I feel like followers and subscribers, you're just so much more willing to follow. But on YouTube, like if you're putting out a long form video, it's hitting that audience and they need to decide if they watch. If you're on TikTok, like you just follow anyone. Like how many times are you going to someone's TikTok profile?
Yeah, like not often.
Right. But you're going to people's, like if you like someone's YouTube video, you're going to stay in that ecosystem. You're going to sub. You're going to watch all their videos. You don't necessarily watch.
With TikTok, what I think they've created almost is what I just said. Like if you see someone 5 times over a week or 2 span, it's weird. It's like it almost like TikTok just forced you to follow them. Yeah. Like you don't realize it, but now you're just following that person without actually going out and following them, and you just know who they are.
But it doesn't even matter if you don't see their low performing videos because you're just seeing their high performance stuff, which is why I say quantity on those platforms.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that makes sense.
So I guess the future of our lives, this could be a fear, is like we're just gonna
right here. This is gonna be
the future of our lives, and my biggest fear is we're just going to be hit in the face with content forever.
Sure.
And over and over and over again.
Nah, that it always plays itself out to where like once something to the extreme happens, people push back on it, and then the other extreme starts, and we're like, that's too much, and then we hit back into the middle. What that means is
equality.
Maybe it's a new platform, maybe it's this or that or the other thing, but yeah, I don't know. For now, we're just going to rip AI until it rips our face off.
All right, so what are some of your other fears as a business owner? I don't really fear judgment from others, but we should talk about that. I don't know if it's a fear, but it's obviously a very real thing, comparing others. You know, people talk about, it's funny how people say like it's a social media thing. Like people have been comparing themselves to others since the day they were born, like
Yeah.
since the earth started.
Yeah.
You buy the house next to another house. You compare who has a country club membership. You compare cars, shoot, like this stuff has been going on. It's not just social media.
Yeah. I think
Now, though, I will say, I guess people are comparing themselves to the top percentile. And originally it was just like in your circle.
Yeah.
But that hasn't fundamentally changed. It's a real fear. We talk about it all the time. Like if we compare ourselves to others in our demo, it's going to be really bad for us because we're hanging with a lot of successful people. If we compare ourselves to the general population, like we're both running businesses, you have your own office, you're hired multiple employees, like, but if you compare yourself to Bleacher Report or, Matt Berry, like, yeah, you suck compared to them right now.
I think any, I don't know if there's I don't want to say there's no good or there's no upside to comparison. I think if you are super intentional about the reason in which you are going to look at your competitor, I'm okay with that. If you're like, hey, I want to see what they're doing here. Like, I think this was a really cool feature. Like, how can we adapt something similar? Good. Anything else, I think, is going to be a negative drain.
You don't think you could use it as motivation? I think you got to have hyper self-awareness. But I do think some people could probably be like, I want to crush them. And then they just go and do it.
Yeah.
It's probably not for me. I get distracted by that stuff, but I think there's probably people out there.
Yeah, I guess there are some people like that, but I feel like that's a weird.
It's not.
I don't know if I'd encourage it.
I don't think. No, it's not, and it's probably for a limited amount of people. But like,
I like seeing like not my competitors, but I actually really like. I think the people that inspire me the most are like the younger group of people with zero fucking following that are getting after it every single day. You know, like I don't know. I guess I could look at okay, here's an example. Like you sent me the link of Flock, Fantasy Flock.
Yeah.
So he gained incredible like popularity over the last, I'm going to say 2 years.
Yeah.
And there's no mistake about why. It's not because he gamed the algorithm. It's not because he stole ideas. It's literally because his work ethic was impeccable and he worked harder than I did as well as anybody else in the industry. And he wanted it worse. And
and he's really good.
Correct. Yeah. Just all of the above. He checks the boxes.
Yeah.
And me looking at that, I think like you look at it quickly and you're like, fuck, like that could be me or that could be us or like X, Y, Z, all these things. I've kind of programmed myself to say like it has nothing to do with him. Like the reflection of the way I feel about that is a reflection of me. Is a reflection of like where I need to do better. So I could look at it and say like, that's good. Where do I need to do better? Like, do I need to work? And I think this might be kind of what you were saying is like, I need to work harder now if I want to get where he wants to go. We have two completely different goals. Like he was on the NFL draft red carpet interviewing athletes. Not my idea of a good time. Like I don't want to do that. You know what I mean? So like him getting that opportunity is not something that makes me jealous because that's not where I like my end goal is not to get there. Like I like running a business and then I like also having that business like supplement my lifestyle. So it's like I can work here whenever I want. I can go out. Like I'm sure he doesn't like drinking 14 margaritas on a Sunday. You know what I mean? Definitely not his lifestyle.
Yeah.
So I think that's like an important factor. And I think he's the biggest example of like someone who rose through a very crowded spot. He was very, very smart in terms of like the platform he was on YouTube, how he grew it. But how he grew it was just like insane work ethic, right? It's just like he didn't skip steps in order to go there. He showed up every single day.
What do you do? Like 3-hour streams every night?
He does it stream every single night. And then in season, like when the NFL is going on, I think he puts out like 4 videos a day.
That's insane.
Insane.
All right. So let me ask you a better question then. What about when it is something you want? Maybe he's not a perfect comp, but like, there were, I do like going to these events. I do like interviewing. For me, I'm running a business. It's a little different, but let's just take Jack the Creator. Jack the Creator, I don't know if jealousy is the right word, but like I would have loved to go to the NFL draft with YouTube. They sent 40 creators. They did a whole YouTube Shorts, DirecTV thing. All those guys probably got paid to be out there. I would love to have had that opportunity. What do you do in that scenario?
You're never that. I don't think you should ever be the person that gives up the leverage. Like, I don't think you should ever want something. This is going to sound weird, but I don't think you should ever be the person, company, or brand that needs to ask another person of power or leverage for them to do something for you. I think my mindset is show up every single day until they can't ignore the thing that you want. you want something from them, just show up every single day. They might never come knocking on your door, but like I could live with that.
No, but I'm saying in comparing myself, it's like, oh, but those creators got invited. I didn't get invited.
I mean, you could, yeah. What's the question?
The question is, how do you not look at how do you manage that situation?
Yeah, I mean, you could use that as inspiration, I suppose. Yeah, I guess that would piss me off a little bit, but like I think you turn that. Yeah, I think inspiration is probably the right way to do it.
It didn't piss me off. I think those people all deserve to be there more than me. I mean, we just got started on YouTube, but we run the agency as well, so we've got a lot of creators who think they should be places, and I think they should be places too. But there's probably times where like, oh, they got to do that. Now I can look and be like, well, I got to do this. But I don't think it prevents me from being like, well, why not me in this situation? And that's comparing yourself to others. Do you want to use it as inspiration? I think you just got to have self-awareness. Looking at others probably is not going to be helpful. I'm not even sure there's a correct answer.
It's just
or
like
a good
control
answer.
what you can control.
Yeah.
You know, it's like you might want something, but
But is the argument that I could be doing more on YouTube. I could be better. I could be in
right.
a
You
place.
can control doing more on YouTube, right?
Yeah.
But you can't control what the YouTube team is going to do.
But I'm saying, what if I had gotten to that place
where you feel like you're deserving and then they don't give it to you?
Yeah.
And work harder.
Yeah.
Like you work until they don't have an option or a choice.
Okay.
And I feel
so
like
then we are using it as motivation.
yes, that's where I think I got to, because I almost even think of like we hosted the Sleeper Bowl last year, right?
Yeah.
And that's like, I guess I didn't really think about it in the time, because I was like, we do some work with Sleeper, like whatever, like we're in fantasy, like of course we're like one of the options on the list or whatever. But it's like you look at the brands that did it. It was the fantasy footballers, obviously big time.
Yep.
Established a run with Leviton and Evan Silva, and then us last year, right? And I was like, that is not something that I kind of really ever envisioned us doing. Because it's not that I don't think people take us like seriously, I guess, in the fantasy space, but if they didn't, I could understand why, but I don't care. Like, it doesn't matter to me. So it was almost like, that almost felt like maybe a long time coming, in the sense of like, oh, we're actually getting recognized as like people that are in the fantasy space, that are actually like fantasy football, a brand or a company or whatever. Mm-hmm. And I don't even know how we did. I don't even know if the stream was okay or not. I was just like kind of showing up and we had a good time, etc. But like, I don't know. I guess that was almost like an acceptance from the outside. But I'd look at things like that and I'd be like, we could do that. Like, no doubt about it. But I don't think anyone would ever look at us as the people that would be able to like hold that down, you know? I don't know if that makes sense, but.
No, it does. Do you ever fear capitalism?
I love capitalism.
You do?
What do you mean? Yeah.
So I guess a fear of mine would
I
be
love capitalism.
a fear of mine would be balancing doing good. Now, you can play in a capitalistic society and not be a scumbag, but doing good and like doing right by people, but also understanding that some of us are here to make money, or everyone is probably here to make money. Do you ever fear that line? Is there a line for you? And once again, I'm not talking about doing shady shit. I'm talking employees want a raise versus what you're taking off the table. I'm talking, all of it that comes with it.
That's definitely a tough discussion. I think I was so loose with it to the point where like, I don't care if anything like goes into my pocket or whatever. Like, I would so much rather give away and make sure other people are comfortable. And I think as I've sort of run the business more, I've like tightened it up a little bit to the point where like, these things actually might matter a little bit, you know? I like capitalism in the sense that I think it just cuts through the fat. Like, the best people are going to win.
Right.
The people that produce the best content or products are going to be the ones that people buy from. That's what I like, right? Because I think those are the people that deserve to win in this.
In a perfect society. But that isn't the case.
I think you could force it to be the case. I think it's like you make your own luck, kind of. I think that's kind of the way a lot of people.
No. 100%. If you work hard, do all the right things, and have the best product, you'll win. But it doesn't mean that people who don't do that won't win too. And I think, once again, it comes back to the comparison, like trust fund baby, right? Like, they might be the biggest asshole in the world, but they could win because of connections and
but
privilege.
I don't. You consider that? I almost operate with the assumption that if you're like a trust fund person winning, you're probably losing internally. Like, I assume. It's a weird way to operate, but I legit. It's second nature to me. I'm like, you probably feel like weird, out of place. Like there's no way you feel good about what you're doing. Like you didn't actually do anything.
Yeah.
You know? I don't know. Maybe it's from coming from the complete opposite of that, but like I just
no. The richest people are normally the unhappiest, so you're not wrong.
yeah. I mean, if you haven't like worked for the thing that,
but it is frustrating, right? If you say my work ethic is 100x, and then I was just making the conversation back to comparison. You work your ass off, you do all the things right, you get to a place, and then you're like, but that person hasn't worked. It's just unhealthy. I'm just framing different ways.
Yeah, I guess that's, I don't know. That feels like a victim mentality to me. Like anytime I've thought that way, I just feel like maybe I'm just fortunate that my brain is wired this way, but I'm just like, you're not a victim. Just like work harder. Like you'll get there eventually. I really, really just feel like if you work a little bit harder in most things in life, you'll get there. There's a reason why you're not there, and it's probably because you're not working harder or smarter there. You know, like I just feel like blaming some other person because they have a fucking trust fund is just, it's so irrelevant to your life. Like at the end of the day, you wake up and choose what you're going to fucking eat for breakfast. You
like,
wake
is it depressing to you that no matter what you do, the Kardashians will be more famous or successful?
Yeah. Ruins my day.
No, but like,
no, it like literally couldn't affect even an ounce of me.
Okay.
Because that's not my idea of success is not being like a fucking makeup
So
person.
if your biggest fear is potential, not fulfilling that.
My potential, not the Kardashians'
no,
potential.
I know.
Yeah.
So how do you set your potential? Like, what's to say what is your potential?
Right.
And if you're not basing it off anyone else, like you said.
You just intrinsically feel something. You just intrinsically feel like greatness.
Do you not base it off of others? Because there's levels, right?
I don't base it off of others. No, I think the best like work, content, projects, anything that I've created has not come from an outside source. It's been like, yeah, maybe maybe it was like an idea that I saw somewhere or whatever, but and then it sparked a different idea or something like that. But anything, I think my best work has always come from like, I just feel like this is the right thing for me to do or us to do.
So if you love your business,
I think people need to be more tapped and in touch with the things that you often feel these things. You're like, oh, this is really fucking cool. I want to do this. And then 17 outside forces come in and tell you not to do it for whatever reason. And someone in your circle is like, that's probably too hard. We shouldn't do this.
So what have you not accomplished? Because it feels like this is exactly what you want.
Yeah. I mean,
what are you looking for? What is more to you?
That's when you put it that way, it sounds bad, but
no, it's just I'm trying to understand because you're like, I like doing this. I am doing this. What I mean,
I still think at the end of the day, like I've told you about the plan that I have for what I want the office to eventually be, to open up pretty much like a creative studio for anyone in my network to work out of, network, and not from a business perspective.
Yeah.
But the tough part about that is you can't, I want it to happen naturally in a sense. Like I don't want to be like, oh, it's like a business. Oh, we have a grand opening.
Money.
Because that I think takes out the purity of what it is. Yeah. And I want it to happen. I know it will happen if I just continue working the way I am, but it's just a lot of things I can't necessarily control except for continuing to work and continuing to put time between myself and then. I think my truest, happiest moment would be like being able to walk in here and it's filled with, fucking 20 creators in here that I can just kind of like dip in and out of, I don't want to say like a mentorship role, but just like helping people here and there, being like, oh, you need help with this, whatever, like, and help them grow their business or grow their style of creativeness or any of that kind of stuff, which I think is like,
well, that's why I asked
the only tangible goal
the capitalist perspective, because it's kumbaya, it's nice, it's legacy, right? Legacy versus monetization. What is the business like? How do you balance that? Or
it's
bdge makes so much money that it can be kind of your
like
passion thing.
Yeah, that's kind of like the way I'm looking at it. I'm also,
so then do you now want to push harder to make more money here?
Yeah,
so that you can do that.
Yes.
All right, and then once you do that, what's going to make you happy?
I think doing that will be super fulfilling for me. I don't know though. Maybe I get there and I'm like, I want the next thing. Yeah. I want the bigger thing. I want the faster thing. I want the Knicks season tickets.
Yeah.
They're
fun.
I want to Be with the Kardashians.
The card. What did you say?
I had like I said the Kardashians.
The Cardigan-dashians is
my
what
throat
it
got
sounded.
caught up. I've been spitting for a minute.
Yeah. I saw something that was someone was like, how much money do you need to have to spend $25K on a watch? It was a poll. And then someone was like, I wouldn't want to flex a watch. I would never want to do that. And someone was like, people like, different stuff fulfills them. Do you think anything material would ever fulfill you? Like you always talk about, getting that New York apartment, owning
Apartment
that.
would be cool. I'd like that.
And I don't think that material things have to be flexed to fulfill you.
No, I agree with that. I want a Bronco, like a car.
Really?
Yeah, maybe a Jeep. A Jeep. Yeah, I actually don't care if it's a Bronco or
Yeah.
something that I could just take the top off and fucking cruise in. Makes me feel very free. I fucking love that stuff. Not material, and I don't honestly know if it'll. But that's been something I wanted, but there's no reason to have a car here necessarily.
Yeah.
There's not a single watch that you could put on my wrist that would make my like my serotonin levels go up or down.
I disagree.
You could put like $1 million watch on my wrist and I'd be like, that's cool. For like,
You'd be like, that's fucking crazy.
I would be like, that's crazy because you told me it was $1 million, but
No,
like
you'd walk outside and be like, am I gonna get robbed? And like, I should not be wearing $1 million watch.
Yeah, I just wouldn't care. It just wouldn't change anything for me whatsoever. Would that do for anything for you?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, because I would sell it and take the million and do something nice with it. No, but shoes are a new thing for me. These are trash, but I've really been liking shoes.
Shoes from a sense
but
of
not
like
from a flex perspective.
right, but from a collectible standpoint, or from like
wearing shoes. Now people will notice, so I think it's tough to say like,
hold on. But are you saying in terms of like you've been getting into shoes lately, not collectible? You mean shoes that you enjoy wearing, they just happen to be more expensive. But if you found, so say, is it like a weird relationship? Is the money affecting the relationship? If you found 2 pairs of shoes that you liked equally, you thought they looked equally good on you, one was a $50 pair and one was a $200 pair, are you more attracted to the more expensive pair?
No, the cheaper. I'm cheap as shit.
Okay.
So
you made it seem like it was a problem. Like you were like, I'm just spending money on shoes.
No. And I barely bought any shoes. Okay. And like my Spectrum guy who was like, oh my God, you got those Kobe's? They're like the GG, pair. And I was like, yeah. And like, it's not a flex to me. I know people are going to notice them, but I just think they're so dope. I don't know.
I don't think that's a problem. I think,
but like, I don't know if I'm going out in person. Like,
yeah,
but my new pair that it's not an active goal. Maybe I should make it one. Maybe it will motivate me. But there's a pair of like Dior Jordans or Nike sneakerhead, that are like 10 grand.
Like that's why you don't need those.
No, I don't. And I'm not buying them. And it would only be like, if the Knicks win the title, right? And I win $70,000 off 300. It's a good bet.
That is good. Yeah.
Like that just might be the way I celebrate. Like I get my dream pair of shoes, but I don't think I would like wear them around thinking like, yo, people see I have.
Are you sure? I think that might go back to it too. I think like the intent is probably a big
so
factor
I can genuinely say my intent would not be that because
I'll tell you personally, I'd be embarrassed to wear those.
Yeah.
I would feel like
I would too.
I'd feel like a clown.
No, I would too. That's what I'm saying. I'm just like speaking openly and transparently about the whole thing. I get embarrassed about all different types of stuff like that, but in a different way, I think getting those shoes, because I really do fuck with them. Like I think they're sick. I don't even know what Dior is. I genuinely just think
very high end fashion.
Yeah, brand. I just think they're cool. So no, it's not like a money thing. And I guess I'm constantly trying to humble myself by being like, yeah, no matter how much money I've got, like someone obviously has way more than me. way, way, way more. So that's why it's like, who are you flexing on? Genuinely.
Because
like
anyone can come in and be like, there's someone else's way more.
You could get out flexed in a second. Like,
I mean, dude, the only people that really flex things are just really insecure people.
Right.
Like I don't know. It's just.
Yeah. And I do not find myself as an insecure person by trying to do that. But hey, if people are listening and watching and being like, maybe have some more self-awareness and try to understand. Like I think my biggest flex is having Knicks season tickets. That's probably the biggest flex, and that's just like a personal thing for me.
Knicks season tickets. You get to come hang out with me the whole season. But, yeah, I mean that's a great. That's like a utility flex too. That's like a cool thing to have. Did you actually enjoy going to those games and things like that?
That's the thing. It's not. I'm not getting them to flex, but if out of everything I have, like that's fucking cool to me. But once again, there's 19,800 other people in that arena who also have Knicks season tickets. And by the way, there's people who sit on the fucking court. And by the way, there's people who sit 3 rows ahead of me. So
yeah, it depends who your crowd is.
Yeah.
Like I go to like I could hang out with my friends, right, from like my hometown or something.
Right.
And they'll think I'm doing something really cool, like work-wise. And like if they're working very like normal entry-level jobs, sure, my job looks cool. And then I can go to, go hang out with like Jeremy, underdog or whatever. And then I'll, low man on the totem pole again.
Exactly.
Which is why you don't get high on your own supply. You don't get low on the booze and shit like that.
And people say you should surround yourself you should be the shittiest one in the room, but you should not do that if it's going to send you spiraling, right?
Agreed.
Like you got to have.
I don't necessarily love that all the time.
Yeah.
I like being around people like that if they're good people. Because you could find yourself being underneath people like from a hierarchy standpoint, and a lot of those people are piece of shit people, that aren't there to like help you, don't care about you, whatever, and then you're just in a bad spot.
Yeah.
Then you're just getting bullied and getting fucking made fun of and all that shit.
Yeah. You never, honestly, let me elaborate on what I think my biggest flex is, or like why I think the Knicks season tickets are.
No one. Let me talk about my biggest flex.
The Knicks season tickets is a flex. Like it would be if that's why I did it. The biggest flex is probably the fact that I texted my best friends and I said, I'll give you, like, if anyone wants to come with me, because I have 2, like, I'll give them to you at face value. It's almost like flexing, like, I have these and, like, I'm doing this for, like, I could sell the ticket for $900. I'm going to give it to you for $300. That's almost how I don't want to put myself on a different tier than my friends.
I think that makes you just like
if you're doing it from a good place,
a good person,
and you're not asking. I'm not expecting anything back from them.
Yeah, you feel like your
Besides
friends don't. Your friends would never do that for you. Is that what you're saying?
I don't think they're in a position to do that, and I think that's where it could come across as I don't know. But I think that's what it is. Is
I would hope
they can't do that right now, which is okay.
It doesn't come off as a flex for me. I don't think I have a lot of friends in a position to like do that shit either. But I feel like I try to be that person as well. And I would just hope my friends are like, okay, Nick's like a good dude, like whatever. Like I appreciate this and like end of story, like cool,
That I think it's funny. It's not charity, but like that's what makes me excited about
giving back my peasant ass friends.
Is almost like I bought tickets for them. Like we went to Texas, Alabama. In Austin in September. Tickets were like $100 or so bucks. Or no, sorry. They were like $400, $500. We had season tickets.
I was about to say, your homies can't afford a $100 ticket.
No, they can. But they were like super up top. And I was like, I'm just going to like buy us tickets down low. And it cost me like a couple $1,000 to upgrade our seats essentially. I'm like fortunate to be in that position.
That feels kind of flexy. Not bad intent.
It's not flexing. It was more, maybe it was more like, look, I'm at a place where I don't want to watch up there. So now it's my responsibility.
It's bougie.
It's bougie.
I would feel, if I was your friend, I'd feel uncomfortable.
They didn't. They enjoyed it.
I'm sure you guys are also pretty relatively young too, but like,
I totally get it because there is a lot there.
I also don't have a friend. I don't think that would like just be like I'm about to drop all this shit. So maybe I would speak differently.
Well, if they called a safety on Bryce Young, the tickets would have paid for themselves. but the game was rigged.
Yeah, I get maybe, but then again, I guess Jeremy kind of lives in my mind front free a little bit just because he's been someone who's at like such a star-studded level. Yeah. But like when we do things with Underdog and he's like the head honcho there, he's taking care of everything. And I'm not gonna like turn down tickets somewhere or whatever. Right. We have high maybe no, maybe
the feeling of the fear of owing someone something, I hate that shit. That's something I never want. But it's funny. I'm putting people in the position that I fear most, where they might feel like they owe me something.
Yeah, maybe it's like a reverse power trip.
Yeah.
Like you're so scared of owing that you need to reverse it.
Yeah, maybe.
Ooh.
Maybe.
Damn, I feel like you
One of my-
know what the logical conclusion here probably is?
Therapy.
No, you should probably just give me your Knicks tickets for tomorrow night.
No, I mean, one of my goals is having my parents' money skip me. That's a fear of mine, is like having to use their money to supply for my children, which is stupid as shit. They worked their ass off. I got lucky. I'll acknowledge that. But like, I should totally use
No, you shouldn't.
You shouldn't use the privilege?
You'll be unhappy using their shit. You'll be
could.
very unhappy.
Yeah, so that, maybe.
I think people who use their parents' money are...
But is there a line?
They're beholden to them. The line is $0. Don't take more than $0 from your parents.
All right. That's,
Yeah, I just feel like that ends up being a bad...
No, there's leverages. 100%.
Yeah.
Like, they pay for the wedding. There's leverage. My mom wants to do this.
Do they start, picking and choosing what they want?
It's happening.
Exactly.
I'm literally living it. Trust me.
Yeah.
And that's what I explained to Hallie, is like, you start taking money, there's leverage. And you start using leverage. And that's why I try to make money now, is because if you have, and maybe it's not just money, it's anything in life, but you either have it and then you have the leverage. Now, if you use it in a shitty way, which is what we were talking about before, to like make people feel bad or position people in a certain way. But yeah, it's all a leverage game.
Yeah, which is why it's like, if you're ever in a position, don't ever give up leverage. But if you don't have it, you just kind of have to like get into your own world a little bit and build it up until you have a little bit.
And it's almost like, I think your advice is saying, don't take from others, because then you're going to lose all your leverage.
Yeah.
And that's never the place you want to be in.
Yeah, no, definitely not. And I think like the most natural things happen from, not a point of necessarily like taking leverage, giving leverage. It becomes like very transactional in a sense too, when you start to like really operate from a sense of it. So it's just like kind of just keep your hand out of the cookie jar both ways.
Well, I was thinking about today. I actually was thinking about this today.
Sure.
To be clear.
To be clear.
Once you have like LeBron James money, or even any of these guys who are going to get a big contract, Lamar money, you got enough money for multiple generations. What drives you? So curious.
I mean,
because
kids.
You literally have, the leverage is over. You now have all the leverage in the world, because you could not, like, no one can hold you to this job because you don't need the money. And I wonder if that's where content creation should begin for creators, is like, create the content where if you had all the money in the world, you would still want to do that.
Yeah, I think that's a good starting point. I think it really goes back to passion. Like that's what pure passion is, just with no money involved. What are you doing? Where are you spending your time? What are you interested in? Late night, what are you reading about? Like shit like that. You know what I mean? Like that's where pure passion starts. I think like from a LeBron-ish standpoint, I just feel like it all goes back to family. It's like, I've got my sons. So I want to make sure my wife is taken care of, my kids are taken care of, my mom, my dad.
But I'm saying they're all taken care of, and it's not even a question.
They're all taken care of, but then you also are like adding to the family, and then you're like, I want my kids to be taken care of, like my grandkids.
But that's what I'm saying. His kids, it's over.
But you probably don't think that way. You're probably just like this and this and this and this.
So
it doesn't even.
So
no
if everyone's taken care of, do you see why winning a championship, like maybe that's the thing?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely like real fulfillment in there. Like every human needs some sort of like progress meter. Every human needs some sort of goal. And I feel like probably for LeBron, there might not be a lot left of motivation, but maybe like MJ, just like the arguments of like the last chirping in the ear of like, nah, MJ still got you.
This comes back to the original conversation around comparison.
Yeah.
Is it healthy?
No, I mean, he's got a great life. He should probably be okay and happy. But who am I to tell him that?
Right.
Like,
no, but like if the fulfillment is him passing MJ, which is a subjective thing that's never going to happen, should you use that as motivation when you already have all the money in the world? You've accomplished virtually everything you can in the sport too. Some deep shit. Only one person would know.
Should we ask him? You probably got his number, probably, right?
Oh, I was saying about ChatGPT.
I was talking about Bron GPT.
Yeah.
All right.
How do you want to land this plane?
I
I'm curious if people found this helpful.
This is either going to be really good or really bad.
Okay.
I'm not sure where the middle is. I feel like we kind of went off the rails there a little bit.
I mean, that's honestly how I wanted this episode to go as the producer of this episode.
You're just like, I'm taking the steering wheel and...
No, I thought, what's the biggest fear? But then it evolves into... Is devolves a word? That's not a word.
Devolve is definitely a word. I'm just not sure.
Like, I guess evolve is when you go from here to here. I was thinking...
Regress?
No, from what? Like it splits. It splits down.
Splits feels like a good word.
No, like it starts on here and then it devolves into these things. I don't know if that's the right use of the word.
Yeah, I'm not. Nope. Sexy's such a little cunt, bro.
Why?
I did like a recap video on YouTube of the first round, and when I got to Bijan's pick, I was joking, and I was just like, I just went off, and I was basically, I'm just bought in. And then I started going in on the bit and being like, this might be the best like pick of the last decade or something. Like, I just kept going in for 30 seconds.
Oh, he cut that up.
And then after that, I went into like real fantasy analysis, like, oh, we're the number one run blocking line, whatever, et cetera. But he put like the first part in the clip and then put in the fantasy analysis. So it sounds like I'm like, this is the best pick of the last decade. Let me tell you why. And then so now like TikTok's going crazy about all that bullshit.
That's actually, you want to talk minor fear, but now that we create so much content and we've got multiple video editors and someone posting content, it's like it's not just my voice anymore. And I don't get to control every single thing. When you edit your own stuff, everything you come out is said in the way that you want it captured. Now it's like some producer clips something, and all the guys on TV, same thing.
That's that's kind of another fear of mine too. Not this one in particular. Obviously, he was doing it like as a joke because he knew people on TikTok would go nuts doing it. That like losing as you scale, losing a little bit of like edge or your voice or like the personality of your brand based on what other like outsourcing to other people,
right? Because not everyone's going to be like you.
Yeah, which is a problem in the world. We just had a bunch of me's.
Right. If we could clone you, it'd be game over. Someone asked about firing Sexy or hiring him. One of the two.
Yeah. Want to do some actual Q&A after the first one? Patsy asked, when it came to hiring Sexy P as a non-paid intern, how did you find him or he found you? And what was the future value you promised or gave him to keep him stay? That gave me a seizure. That was his fault, not mine. I promise. Okay, let's see. How did you find him or he found you? He had been, if you go back to some of our like earlier YouTube videos, he was a fan of my stuff on YouTube years and years ago. He was like in the comment section kind of early, and then he was someone who engaged with us on Twitter all the time. And you ever seen the picture of a really, really fat guy that says like, I beat anorexia or whatever? It's like a meme. Yeah. You've been shaking your head since even before I started saying it. So I don't know. That's why I'm like, yes? Yeah. Okay, so he had that as his Twitter profile. So it was like very easy and recognizable. Yeah. So, and his Twitter name was Sexy Pats. Yeah. So like he became kind of like an internal like person within our brand that we would like talk about. Yeah. Like, did you see like what Sexy Pats tweet or some shit like that? Yeah. And then we opened up a dynasty league where we like did a raffle for the spots, and this was actually kind of sick. We did like a GoFundMe, and we're like, every $1 you put in, you get a raffle. You get one raffle ticket. If you put 25 in, you get like an extra
GoFundMe
25
for charity or for capitalism.
For capitalism. Yeah, I didn't know it was not allowed at the time, but they took it down afterwards. And it was gonna fund a trip for us to the NFL draft in Nashville a few years back. And Sexy, actually, this is kind of funny because Sexy put like so much money into it and didn't win. How much? I mean, he was young. He was probably 18, 19 at the time. I think he probably put like $500 to $700 into it, which is a ton of money at that time. And we picked the raffle while we were at Nashville, I remember. And I remember Sexy, we knew he had put a ton of fucking money into it, and we felt really bad. So we made sure that we picked him as one of the last names and someone else or whatever. So he joined the Dynasty League. Therefore, we had like an open form of communication with him. And then eventually he like took one edit a week. He was like, hey, do you have an edit that you want me to do, or you have anything that like you want us to help out with? Gave him one edit a week. He did that for like fucking a year and a half, 2 years probably, without like any sort of whatever. He was up in Canada still at the time. Started working at a company up there in Canada called Owner's Box, which was like a sports media company. I know the owner, so like we were friendly, and like me and him would talk every once in a while. And then he hits me one night and he was like, yo, can we get on like a Zoom call or whatever, which is not a normal thing for us. So I was like, something's up. We get on the call. He's like, I want to pitch. This was right after we had gotten the office. So he knew that we were like moving more towards the business. And he was like, I want to come work like, I'm going to pitch you on what I'm going to do for you guys. Like, I'm going to be the TikTok guy. I'm going to grow your audience. He had grown owners boxes from like 0 to 60,000 really quickly. And we had got in here, and this was before Ike's Lunch and all that kind of stuff. So we had like no real following on TikTok. Maybe like 3,000, 5,000 people on there. And I was like, this would be cool if we had one person just like focusing on this intensely. But I had like no money at the time. When we first got in here and we were like ripping shit, I think I
ran dry, right?
I might have had like $11,000 in the bank after 1 month, and I still had to pay everybody in rent and everything. And I was like, fuck, we're down pretty tremendously right now. So I was like, I can't fucking pay you. I already have 5 people on the payroll.
Yeah.
But I was like, if you can work for us until like July or something, just like April, so April, May, June, July, 4 months or whatever, I'll hire you in the summer when things pick up and we have a little bit more. And he was like, okay. Moved out to New York, slept on the air mattress for like 3 months in the office because he didn't have a place to live. He ended up moving in with Tony, and then we hired him like through a visa program. So it was a long process of, this is a tale we've told many times. You just reached out, kind of do something for free, do good work, continue to do it. Eventually you'll get your shot. And when you do, there you go. You're in. The foot in the door though, like you need to show me what you're doing. You need to do what you say you're going to do.
Yeah, actually do it. It's important.
Yeah. But like, look at the sacrifice that like he made, and look at the people that are working here, like what they did for so long. Sexy, like if he didn't come out to New York, I didn't really have an interest in him working here.
Right.
And so he did that and slept on a fucking mattress in our office for 3 months. Unpaid. Yeah. Completely fucking unpaid.
Yeah. That's where I believe your belief of work harder, it always plays out. And maybe it could have taken 3 more years. You expand this luck surface area.
I will say one thing I've tried to improve as a leader for myself is like making sure those people know that I appreciate what they're doing.
Okay.
Because sometimes I think for a while, like, oh, he's taking like one edit for a week for a long time.
Yeah.
And it's not
not very changing the business.
It's a very minute thing in the overall landscape of what we're doing. Right. But for them it could feel like, man, I'm still sacrificing my time for something that has no promise, no
100%,
all this kind of stuff. So I try to take more account. Like if I see someone who I'm like, oh, he did something new with the video, I want to go make sure like I compliment them. Like, hey, that was like really cool. Like I appreciate that you went a little bit of above and beyond there. You're doing a good job. Like keep it up. Here are things that I think you can improve. Here are things that I like that you like went and took control of this.
So one of the chapters in my book, the 24 out or I still don't really know what it's going to be about how we're an asset and you should constantly be investing in yourself. So everything you eat.
You're talking about a book you're going to write?
Just a thesis of mine that will probably find a book form in some. We rarely invest in ourselves. Like people will be like, oh, take this class. Okay, it costs $250. Sexy putting $500 into that was an investment, that he makes in himself. And I just feel like we don't encourage that behavior. Like we encourage you go to the movies and you go out to the bar and you spend X amount of dollars. And that investment is in yourself. You get joy out of that. You get entertainment.
It's hard to invest in something that has a very, very high lack of certainty.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But we should very much.
Those are the things that are worth investing in.
These Knicks tickets, for example, to go back to them, I had no clue what they were going to create. Is it exactly because of the way it happened? Maybe, maybe not. But like I made back that money by getting a role with MSG Networks. If I don't get those tickets 5 years ago, do I get to where I am? I don't know. And that's the thing. There's no clear ROI. But like if Sexy had said, there's a chance I make a $500 bet and it equals me, you pay him like what, $250K a year?
Yeah.
A 5,000X.
That was pre-raise.
Yeah, pre-raise. Yeah. But a 500X. What's the math on that? Yeah,
you're doing fake math anyways. It doesn't matter.
The point is, if you ever thought about like what it could equal, you're just placing more bets.
Yeah.
More investments in yourself. And then the other part I wanted to add was creativity. So I tweeted out today, make me an offer on my tickets, or whoever wants to come with me. I got one actually funny. Did you see that? Someone was like, we could go to Times Square, we could reenact a movie, we could make a lot from the tip money, we could buy costumes, super creative. The problem with that one is like that one was so ridiculously out of the scope, but genuinely, if one person had said, let's put $500 on the Knicks tomorrow, if they win, you keep the money. If they lose, like that's that's the cost of the ticket. I would like a very simple form. So get creative in your outreach, I think is actually, and the only way to get creative is by following that person, doing your research, putting in the work. Because if someone had said that, if someone had offered me like a really good content opportunity, like I'm going to be the funniest, I'm the biggest fan, bring your camera, it'll be a YouTube video. Like if they knew anything, the rest are just like, oh, I thought I'd, make a lowball offer and hope. Like you could, there's a good, if you said, give it away and I'm going to bring you for a business connection. Like there's so many creative ways, and people just lack creativity, I feel like in sometimes.
Yeah. I mean, I empathize with people who don't have their footing, and like it feels like you're not like investing, but necessarily just like throwing a bunch of things against the wall and hoping something sticks. But anything worthwhile is going to be very risky up front. It's going to feel like it's risky up front, but like I think the biggest risk is not taking the leap, because then you live with like a lot of regret doing those kind of things, like what could have been. So I think anytime you're faced at the crossroads,
don't spend. But if you are confident that you can replenish that money, because you can most of the time, like money. I say go for it.
Second part of that question, and what was the future value you promised or gave him to keep him stay with you?
He moved to New York. Were you like, you're getting a job, or hopefully get you a job?
I think,
and the Better Business Bureau wants to know the answer to that.
I think I was like, if you are here in July, if you work for us for free until July in the summer, we'll hire you.
Right.
And then even when we got to July, I think I pushed that off for like another 2 months. Sexy, yeah. The other part of that, I could have pushed that off for 6 months, and Sexy still would have done it.
Right.
The fact, this is the power of building this is the power of being yourself. This is the power of being vulnerable. This is the power of content. This is the power of building a brand and building leverage, is that I put myself in a position where people like Sexy will do that. People will sleep here because they want the opportunity to work. It's like you build something that people believe in, right? So it's like, it's not a traditional job where, what did you offer Sexy? It's like, Sexy really passionately wanted to be here working with us. Like that, I didn't have to offer him anything. My last 6 years of making content and building my business was the pitch. And I think about that with a lot of my life. Like if we ever need to raise money, I don't think I'll pitch people. You know what I mean? Like my last 7-8 years has been my pitch. It's like, if you know what I'm about, if you know what we're building here, you'll invest. If I've never met you before, I won't even feel, I don't have an elevator pitch for what we are.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You either like know me and know what we're about and see how passionate I am, or you don't. And I think that resonates with every aspect of my brand. People that want to work here, the work they're doing, they want to be in a creative environment, they believe in me or the brand, or they love fantasy, like any amount of those things. When you build something that people believe in, you don't need, you obviously need to pay them, but like you don't, it's just, people want more out of life than just money. The things that people value go above and beyond that. Of course, I have to pay them eventually because it's expensive living here and it's a normal fucking human being. But it started without a doubt in belief and wanting to be part of it. Steve asks, what's essential to have in a thumbnail in general? And for Nick, are there any specific things you add for fantasy football thumbnails? And then Jordan asks, what price point is a thumbnail worth it if you're looking to outsource in a price per thumbnail? Same question for editing long form 30+ minute videos, short form clips less than 90. Well, I think
we can just do a 5-minute thumbnail little session.
Yeah.
Workshop and close our shop.
Essential for thumbnails. I don't know if I'd say there's anything essential necessarily. I think one of the biggest things that I've learned in terms of like getting better personally at designing thumbnails is less is more. I think a ton of people always try to like layer text on top of text on top, like they put the title in the thumbnail and it just gets like so messy. It's like people are going to look at your thumbnail for a second, see whether or not it's intriguing, and then move down to the title immediately. Yeah. And I actually think I've come to the point where like I think the title is 5 times to 10 times more important than the actual thumbnail itself. But it needs to be like a smooth storyline. So you need to see the title be a little bit intrigued, or you need to see the thumbnail be a little bit intrigued and have the title really like take it away from you. You know what I mean?
All right, I'll answer the question. What's essential in a thumbnail?
Yeah.
When you see it, you want to click it. And I actually don't know if people ever take a step back and be like, if I came across this thumb with the title, would I click it?
I think
would my audience click it?
I think
it's such a simple question, but it's like it honestly makes titling and thumbs so much more obvious. And now if you really clickbait it, that might be the workaround to, yeah, I would click it because I'm intrigued. But yeah, you don't want it to be too busy, and it should match the content of the video.
Yeah, I think you could pull inspiration from other creators in industries as well. I think that's one of the more like underutilized things just to do if you're creating a thumbnail. Look at what other people, most of the time it's very simple. It's like one person's face, maybe like one object or one central theme of the thumbnail, and that's really it. They don't overcomplicate things. Now, simplicity is key. I also think from a design standpoint, texture is very important too. Sure. Texture doesn't need to mean like a million different things going on, but just small things like shadows, pops, and shadows and saturation and different colors, and making it feel a little bit more like real, or that it matches what the theme of the thumbnail is. So I think those are two important things. It's going to take you a long time. Like you're probably going to have to watch some videos on how to actually like maneuver in these things and learn, get comfortable with Canva and Photoshop and things like that.
You can pay for them.
You can. And the price point of a thumbnail.
So we work with the agency that does thumbnails.
Thumbnail for this video.
They have 3 tiers. The first tier is a no feedback, kind of just, I think anyone who's decent at thumbs can make. Second one, I think you get maybe 1 revision. It's a little better. And then the last one is really good. I think we're using the tier 1 thumbs. I'm pretty sure.
No, we're tier 2.
Tier 2.
Whatever the middle one is.
It's funny. Like, they should probably have a little discrepancy because their tier 2s are almost as good as their top tier. I don't know if it's tier 1 or I think it's
30, 60, 120.
Yeah.
So 30 is the base one. The one that we do for these are 60.
Yeah.
The one that
my channel has.
So I've paid for thumbnails one other time. The quality was much lower than these, and it was $25 per thumbnail.
Yeah.
And at the time, that felt like a lot. I was like, ooh, 25, because I was doing it for fantasy videos, so we were doing them high volumes.
Right.
So I was like, oh, if we're doing 100 whatever a week, that's fine. For this,
were they good?
They were.
That's the thing.
They
have to be good.
They're better than what I would do. They're definitely not the level of agency that these guys. So if you're someone, it depends on how much money you're making off of content. Jordan, I know you have.
Or it depends how much you're willing to invest.
Yeah, I assume that most people who are not full-time content creators are probably in the same like ballpark budget range for what they're doing. Like they're more beginner budget level
because they don't think about investing.
Yeah, that's true. But I wouldn't tell a beginner to invest in $60 thumbnails.
I agree. But if you were willing to make that investment, but the funniest part is you're making a choice between 2 investments: your time, right, by learning how to do it, or by allowing someone else to do it. So it is very rare, and maybe it's not speaking to the right crowd of being like you're a new creator, which means you probably haven't made enough money. But like that is something that I will continue to offload and to give to someone else.
You're in a position to do it.
Yeah.
I also think they're valuable skills to learn up front because you could transfer them to a lot of other things.
Right.
I think that when you are starting out, investing time is way more realistic than investing money in the So yeah, we do $60 a thumbnail. We're also splitting it, so it's kind of like 30 a thumbnail.
But investing money, you could spend your time better.
Yeah.
I'm offering. I would agree. The majority of people is yes. You should learn how to do the skill yourself. You'll pick up a new skill by doing it. You can create thumbnails for others. Maybe you make money from doing that for others. But
I guess it depends, like how much better they are. Like
that too.
Okay, so like
I think the first guys. I mean, I couldn't do anything.
Oh, these guys are awesome. These guys are really, really. So I guess what price is the thumbnail worth it if you're looking to outsource? So like I said, we're doing these thumbnails that we have are 60, but 30 a person. I don't know if I was doing my own individual ones, if I'd be wanting to do 60. We're also doing 1 a week, so you have to consider that as opposed to like 5 a week, where like the volume for our fantasy stuff is much higher. So
it is. Money can't win you YouTube, right? It gives you an advantage though, and if you were to put out 5 videos with elite thumbnails a week in the fantasy space, it would separate.
It could play.
Your content would have to, obviously, as we say, it would still have to be really good, but that could be a differentiator.
I would almost look at it from a holistic standpoint, from a year long. Like if do the math, if you're doing 3 videos a week and you invest $30, the tier 1 $30 thumbnail for each video, $90 a week, 90 times 52 is around $4,500, $4,600, something like that. Like, are you willing to outsource all the time that you spend on thumbnails for $4,500 for the entire? For me, where I'm at right now, that feels kind of like a no-brainer-ish, right? Like that would be something I would invest into because in the grand scheme of things, 4,500 is not that much money for the so I would look at it that way, you know? I would look at it from a more holistic standpoint rather than just being like, because at the end of the day, what does like $30 every 2 days mean to you? It's very hard to just like figure that out. But if you look at it from, you know, I have disposable income of $4,500 to like put elsewhere, that might put it more in perspective. That might give you like a hell no right away. You might be like, nah, I need that money.
Right.
If that's the case, then you either need to scale down the number of thumbnails that you're buying, you need to scale you know, the quality of thumbnails or find a different agency or something like that. So I think
stop going to the bar.
Stop making videos, honestly.
just quit.
Same questioning for editing long form video, short form video. I think AI is gonna be able to edit your fucking short form videos in a second.
It's really just a time money equation. What's your time worth? What's realistic to you? Can you work longer? Can you edit longer?
I don't think I've ever like hired someone per se to actually cut up short form videos on like a per video basis.
Short form?
Yeah.
I don't know if I have. No, we have. I mean, editing our Snap stuff, we were paying like $200 to $300 per episode. They were like 4.5 minutes. $200
to $300 per video.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We were making a lot on Snap. Now we don't make any. So
I've outsourced long form videos, and I think I paid basically we did one podcast a week that was about an hour long. And it was once a week, and I think we paid the editor. We might have worked within the multiple years, somewhere in the 5,000 to 10,000 range. I want to say maybe the first year was 5,000, maybe the second year was 7,500, maybe it was whatever it was. So I'm not sure how that breaks down to it, but the editor we were working with would take like 8 or 9 hours editing, you know, each video if it was 45 minutes or whatever. So that was kind of like the reverse engineering part of, you know, how much money is his time worth in that sense. So long form edits are obviously going to be a lot more time intensive, so you're gonna have to pay and depending on like what you're doing.
All right, should we end this?
Yes, we should end this. All right, that's it. Like, subscribe, rating, review, share, follow, leave a comment, drop a pepper sign. Big tech guy.
Yeah, I'm Rodecaster guy. Rodecaster Pro.
Rodecaster Jack Pro.
Yeah.
What was this? Oh, with Bijan and like Saquon, his best year as a pro was his rookie year.
Yeah.
2,000 yards from scrimmage. That team was 5-11. They were bad, you know.
Yeah.
He had 15 touchdowns, and so it goes back to like, do you think Bijan's as good of a pro as Saquon? Can he put up those numbers? I also think like
I don't.
The Falcons' run environment's way better than the Giants was at that time. Like I'm telling you, like Tyler Algier put up 1,000 yards as a rookie last year. He's not like,
which is why I laughed that they drafted.
I get it, motherfucker.
No, Bijan, he needs 20, 25 touches a game because he wears you down with the broken tackles. Obviously, he doesn't have breakaway speed like Saquon did, so that's another worry for me. Now Texas didn't use him in the pass game nearly enough. That's where, you know, things could change. Like McCaffrey, he's talented enough to where you split him out wide, like he could do McCaffrey level things. Yeah. I genuinely believe that.
Saquon that year, his rookie year, had like 120 targets or something like that, which is like crazy.
And that's what they said they were going to do this year with him, but they didn't. So
that's what every fucking team says with every running back. Like he's not just a running back; he's a weapon.
No, but Saquon is. I mean,
yeah.
But they just didn't really do it. Like early on, they did. So we will see. I'm obviously rooting for him. I think that
sounds like you're not.
That's the worst part about the whole about life.
I'm just a hater.
Yeah, it's like you give an opinion and then it doesn't mean I'm rooting against him. It's just what I anticipate happening. I don't think Desmond Ritter's good. I hope he plays great, unless I'm financially invested on his under.
Me too. I don't know what to think of him. I'm at this point. I'm just, you know, for the first time in my life, I'm just going to be an optimistic person. You know, I'm taking in.
That's why I'm just confused about the whole situation.
I just never had a choice.
Okay.
I broke down, you know, immediately when we made the pick. I thought we were taking Jalen Carter. Was very excited about it.
Is that who you wanted?
Yeah. I mean, we need D-line help bad.
The fun thing about the Bijan pick and just in general is like you can't be upset about it because he's so fun. And he's also like the greatest kid in the world. Like he's a great person.
The interviews and stuff I saw, I was like, man.
He's class.
Yeah.
He is class. But
I kept asking him like the most awkward interview questions as he was coming up.
Yeah.
Made me very uncomfortable. Yeah, I just we're a little bit delayed because we're not on cable. and I have my phone next to me, and I was not trying to look on Twitter to see who our pick was. And I just saw like texts continue to pop up, and I was like, no one's texting me if we're picking an offensive or defensive lineman. So I was like, it had to have been Bijan.
Oh,
so like
I thought you were talking about right now.
No, like, when we were on the clock.
I was like, did you trade for Hopkins?
I didn't want his fucking old ass. I'm over Hopkins. I was never on Hopkins, but I'm over him.
You wouldn't want D-Hop?
Not for where our team is right now. Like for what we have to give. I don't want to give up
contenders.
I don't want to give up future. Yeah, he's weighs us down. I'd rather have. We just got Matt Collins. Why would we need DeAndre Hopkins? Redundant.
Really good point. That is redundant.
Why I don't know why you're smiling is beyond me.
So this is the Kyle Pitts breakout or no?
No, it's Bijan's breakout.
Okay, everyone
else can relax.
Yeah. So what'd you say? Fantasy? He's a top 5
pick? Running back or pick overall. Yeah, I think he's in the argument right there. I think like C-Mac, Justin Jefferson-ish, like Jamar Chase will be consensus. And then after that, it's like, if it's Jonathan Taylor, Austin Eckler, like why isn't he in that conversation?
Yeah, I was fading JT all last year. I'm not a big believer in the bad offensive take. I think like Saquon was good last year until their offense kind of fell apart.
That makes sense.
I'd rather... I mean, I'm gonna
go back to Eckler.
It depends where he goes.
I mean, they haven't taken a fucking running back yet in the draft, so it seems like they're pretty. Really.
But we joked.
I was like man,
I know. No, we joked.
Like, my first sports like breaking news.
No, we joked like out of all the breaking news, like that's probably the one I should be able to get that intel straight from the source.
Yeah, DeAndre Swift goes to Philly. That's kind of sexy as hell.
Is it?
Oh yeah, another Georgia guy.
Yeah,
7 Georgia guys.
No, but like from a fantasy perspective,
yeah, I actually really like Swift. Sanders,
everyone's love. Yeah, but Penny's there, Gainwell's there, Boston Scott's there.
Gainwell and Scott are.
Hurts is there. Kenny G was their best back in the bowl.
It's like 30 yards a game.
Lamar Jackson's a Raven though.